The story begins with Rue Bennett, played by Zendaya, a teenage girl struggling with severe drug addiction. Rue narrates much of the story herself, often reflecting on her past and the chaotic lives of the people around her. After overdosing during the summer, Rue returns home from rehab determined to stay clean. However, it quickly becomes clear that she has no real intention of giving up drugs. On the first night of the new school year, Rue attends a party thrown by a classmate. There she meets Jules Vaughn, played by Hunter Schafer, a new girl who has just moved to town. Jules is confident, artistic, and unapologetically herself. Despite their very different personalities, the two immediately form a connection that becomes the emotional center of the season. At the same time, several other storylines unfold among the students of the high school. One of them follows Nate Jacobs, the intimidating and controlling son of a wealthy businessman. Nate appears confident and successful on the outside, but his behavior reveals deep anger and insecurity. Nate secretly struggles with his identity and with disturbing memories related to his father's hidden life. Nate's father, Cal Jacobs, lives a double life. While appearing to be a respectable family man, he secretly records sexual encounters with strangers in hotel rooms. Nate discovers these recordings when he is young, and the discovery deeply traumatizes him, shaping his violent and manipulative personality. Another storyline centers on Cassie Howard, a kind but insecure girl who desperately wants to be loved. Cassie struggles with her reputation after private photos of her begin circulating among students. Her search for validation leads her into a complicated relationship with Chris McKay, a college freshman and football player who worries constantly about his image and expectations placed on him. Cassie's younger sister Lexi, who also happens to be Rue's childhood friend, often watches the chaos around her from the sidelines. Unlike many of her classmates, Lexi is observant and introspective, quietly processing the emotional turmoil happening in her social circle. Meanwhile, Nate's girlfriend Maddie Perez appears confident and glamorous, but hides her own vulnerabilities. Her relationship with Nate is passionate, but deeply toxic, filled with jealousy, manipulation, and bursts of violence. As the season progresses, Rue becomes increasingly dependent on Jules for emotional stability. Jules represents hope for Rue, someone who might give her a reason to stay sober. However, Rue's addiction continues to pull her toward drugs. Jules herself faces struggles. Before moving to the town, she experienced a difficult childhood and complicated relationships. She also secretly communicates online with someone she believes is a teenage boy named Tyler. In reality, the person behind the messages is Nate, who is using a fake identity to manipulate her. Nate eventually blackmails Jules with explicit photos she sent during their online conversations. He threatens to expose her unless she falsely accuses someone else of a crime. This manipulation reveals just how dangerous and calculating Nate can be. At the same time, tensions rise between Nate and Maddie after a violent incident at a party leaves Maddie with visible injuries. Nate is arrested but later released when the situation becomes legally complicated. Elsewhere, Cassie becomes pregnant after a brief encounter with another boy while McKay is away at college. Unsure what to do, Cassie faces an emotionally painful decision that forces her to confront the reality of her situation and the expectations placed on her. Throughout the season, Rue continues drifting deeper into addiction. Despite her growing feelings for Jules, she frequently relapses. Her drug dealer Fesco, although involved in illegal activity, genuinely cares about Rue and often tries to protect her from going too far. The pressure of all these complicated relationships begins pushing the characters toward a breaking point. In the season's final episodes, Jules and Rue's relationship reaches a turning point. Jules begins to feel overwhelmed by the responsibility of being Rue's emotional support system. She struggles with her own identity and desire for freedom. Jules asks Rue to run away with her and leave their town behind. For a moment, Rue seriously considers it. The idea of escaping everything feels like the only way forward. However, when the time comes to board the train, Rue hesitates. She realizes that running away will not fix the deeper problems inside her. At the last moment, Rue decides to stay behind while Jules leaves on the train alone. After returning home, Rue immediately relapses. The season ends with Rue spiraling back into drug use, leaving her future uncertain. Through Rue's narration and the intertwining lives of her friends, the first season of Euphoria explores themes of addiction, identity, trauma, love, and the emotional chaos of modern adolescence.